I'm standing inside a giant laboratory disguised under the name of a factory. Cold white LED light spreads evenly across every stainless steel surface, making the space so immaculate that I feel as if even breathing too hard might disturb its perfection. The light isn't gentle, it's blunt and honest, exposing the tiniest scratch in the metal, every cut, every weld seam. There's no darkness here to hide imperfections, no room for approximately or close enough, only right and not yet right. Y'all, in front of me, thick silver gray steel plates and smooth cast aluminum blanks are fed into the line by AGVs gliding as quietly as cats. Their electric wheels roll over the charcoal gray floor without a single speck of dust, without a smear of oil, without an irritating squeal, just a faint rolling sound like someone gently pulling a chair across a spotless floor. I walk alongside the conveyor, eyes locked on each movement. A laser scanner sweeps across the steel like a cold blink, tracing thin lines of light like threads. A flatness sensor touches the surface and retracts swiftly. An automated crane lowers the material precisely into position, off by not even a millimeter. I can clearly hear every true-to-form factory sound, the soft whir of a servo like a restrained metallic breath, compressed air releasing in a controlled hiss before falling silent, metal meeting metal with a dry, a crisp click like a period placed exactly where it belongs. At times, I no longer feel like a visitor, but as if I'm standing inside a minimalist composition where every sound is positioned carefully so it doesn't overpower another. And in that restraint, there's a strange sense of luxury, precise, reliable, undeniably trustworthy. I watch the stainless steel reflect the cold white LEDs into long streaks of light, and I'm suddenly reminded of touching a sterilized medical instrument, cold, clean, reassuring, because it carries no trace of carelessness. From this vantage point, I don't just see raw materials, I see something being prepared to become a promise, a fire engine. Not merely a red four-wheeled vehicle, but an answer that arrives at the right moment in the middle of chaos. Yes, I once stood at the edge of the road on a scorching afternoon when smoke suddenly rose from somewhere unseen and people began exchanging that look, something's wrong. In that moment, I realized that in everyday life, we can postpone many things, a phone call, a plan, an apology. But there are some things that are not allowed to be late. A fire truck is one of them. So when I stand before these steel plates and aluminum blanks, I don't see them as lifeless. I see them being selected, inspected, standardized to carry a responsibility as heavy as an oath. I appreciate the way this factory remains silent in terms of decoration, yet speaks volumes through its process. No banners, no slogans, no flashy logos. Just urban steel dominating nearly the entire frame, charcoal, gray, silver, deep blue-black, punctuated by yellow and orange robotic arms like deliberate brushstrokes in a minimalist painting. Yet it feels as though everything here has been designed to eliminate distraction, so that my eyes focus only on what truly matters, the precision of every single operation. I pause for a moment as if switching the camera in my mind to macro mode. Up close, everything feels more alive. The surface of the cast aluminum carries fine grain patterns like the fingerprints of a mold. The stainless steel has just enough sheen to reflect light in layers. The conveyor rollers spin steadily, creating a subtle vibration you can only sense when you're standing close enough. At times I hear a soft click from a locking mechanism, and a very human thought pops into my head. That's the kind of click that makes you feel safe. Because it's not the click of something temporary, it's the click of something engineered to close at exactly the right position with the right force, the right fit. I also notice how the air inside this factory feels different from the air outside. It's cool, dry, clean, the kind of air that makes you believe every particle of dust has been calculated out of existence. It may sound a bit extreme, but I find that extremity is precisely the foundation of safety. A small error on paper may be just a number, but a small error in the manufacturing process of a machine that will drive into danger could become something no one wants to name. I catch a slightly distorted reflection of myself on the steel surface. And I can't help thinking about the contrast. This place is cold, clean, orderly to the point of feeling almost inhuman. Yet what's being created here will step into heat, noise, and unpredictability. That very contrast strengthens my faith in the factory's logic. To confront chaos, you must be born from order. To drive safely into fire, you must be assembled through steps that allow no error. Wow. And I realize that what I'm witnessing isn't just manufacturing, it's preparation. Preparation through measurement, inspection, positioning through laser lines as straight as truth itself. Preparation by placing every detail exactly where it belongs, long before an emergency call sounds somewhere out there. So when an AGV glides past me carrying a frame to the next station, it feels like watching a timeline in motion, step by step, neither rushed nor delayed, just perfectly paced. I'll admit there's something strangely reassuring about it. The more minimal, the colder it feels, the more I trust that what's about to be created will be immensely strong. Not strong because it's large, but strong because it's built on a foundation that allows no carelessness. Strong because everything here speaks little, does much. No declarations, only proof. Every millimeter measured, every surface scanned. Every alignment point locked into place becomes an invisible layer of protection for the people who will one day sit inside that red cab. As I continue walking along the line, through the soft whir of servos, the controlled exhale of compressed air, the crisp closing of metal components, I hear a message that needs no words. Here, we are not just building a vehicle, we are building readiness. We are creating the certainty that when needed, but it will arriving with a strength born from this obsessive coldness, minimalism, and immaculate precision. I move deeper into the muscle of the process. The chassis begins to take shape like the spine of a steel creature. My first impression isn't about its size, but its rhythm. Everything here operates like a living body, yet without biological deviation, only mechanical precision. The CNC laser cutter ignites its beam thin as a thread, yet slicing through metal with a chilling calm. There's no hesitation, no aggressive roar, just a sharp line of light gliding across the surface, leaving behind a flawless edge, as clean as a boundary drawn with a steel ruler. Sparks burst for a few seconds and fade like a brief meteor shower, unshowy, but enough to remind me I'm standing before something whose power is under absolute control. I slide along the cutting table, the imaginary camera in my mind shifting into macro mode. The steel surface reveals its grain, its sharp edges, its freshly cooled hot spots. A CNC drill bit spins rapidly, piercing through steel with a steady whir. Burrs fall like metallic dust, glittering under the cold white LEDs. Before being pulled away by the extraction system, I realize I'm being drawn into the details, as if every drilled hole is a small node in a larger nervous system, one where every connection must be so precise that even the slightest error is unacceptable. Then the welding robot enters its yellow-orange arm standing out against the urban steel backdrop like a bold brushstroke in a minimalist painting. The welding arc flashes like a muted thunderclap, blue-white light flaring and then softening, leaving behind a smooth, continuous, solid weld seam. I stand close enough to feel a brief trace of heat, even though it's carefully controlled, and in that moment I think about the contrast. Out there, fire destroys. Here, fire is tamed to build. Each weld bead is a punctuation mark, each seam linking together into a story of structural strength. I have the sense that even if I magnified those welds 100 times, I would still see order in every molten particle placed exactly where it belongs. The chassis is rotated by an automated system, moving slowly and firmly without a single unnecessary vibration. A straightness check laser scans along the steel beam, a thin green line running like an invisible measuring stick. I appreciate how everything here is questioned again by technology. Is it correct? Is it straight enough? Does it meet the standard? There is no room for it's probably fine. When the suspension system and axles are brought in by hydraulic operation, I clearly hear the sharp click of the locking mechanism, a short but decisive sound. as if the chassis has just gained another layer of bone. The muted thud when the pressing force reaches its threshold isn't violent. It feels like a firm handshake between two mechanical components. The hydraulic torque gun bites into the bolts, turning steadily, tightening, and stopping at the exact preset torque. To me, that sound feels like an uncompromising promise. Once tightened, it must be to the right force. Once installed, it must meet the standard. I realize I'm listening in a different way, not just hearing sound, but hearing certainty within the sound. At one point, a thought crosses my mind. If someone one day sits in this cab in the middle of a massive fire, they will never see these welds or bolts. Yet it is precisely these invisible details that will keep them safe. Occasionally, I notice female workers appear, but they don't take center stage. They step into the frame like necessary accents, arriving after the machines have completed their task and a human eye is needed to confirm. Their protective uniforms are plain, no logos, no text, no labels, everything synchronized, as if individuality has blended into the process. I appreciate that. Not because people are diminished, but because here, humans and machines don't compete for importance. They complement one another, a hand lightly placed on a metal edge to check alignment, a small adjustment before the robot resumes. These seemingly minor actions reassure me even more than the impressive welding sparks. They prove that no matter how automated the process becomes, personal responsibility is still present. Then the color arrives like a cinematic transition. So the cab begins to take shape from stamped, bent, and welded metal panels. I follow the line as if walking through a corridor between two worlds, from steel gray to fire engine red. Robots sand the cab's surface, grinding discs spinning evenly with a low hum as fine metal dust is instantly extracted. Warm yellow lights at manual assembly stations cast a gentle depth across the cold metal, making the cab appear less emotionless, as if it is gradually gaining skin and flesh. When the cab enters the paint booth, I almost hold my breath. The automated spraying system moves with fluid precision, laying down the fire engine red coat evenly, smooth, glossy, flawless. Not a single drip, not a single run. That red isn't decorative, it's declarative. It's the red of recognition, of urgency, of unmistakable presence in the middle of chaos. Under the cold white LEDs, the paint reflects in long streaks of light as if the cab is absorbing illumination to radiate its own energy. But I have the feeling I'm watching something that isn't just being painted, but being given an identity, red, strong, unmistakable, needing no explanation. In that moment, I understand that this process doesn't merely produce a mechanical structure, it creates a symbol. From the cold laser cuts and precise welds to the final radiant coat of red, everything connects into a single journey. And standing between the cold white light and the newly finished red surface, I realize I'm witnessing a transformation from anonymous steel into a machine with a mission. Here, muscle isn't just metal and torque, it's discipline, consistency, a promise repeated hundreds of times in every small detail. And I know that when that red cab is lowered onto the chassis in the next step, it won't simply be two parts joined together. It will be the union of strength and purpose. Yeah, then comes the moment I've been waiting for, the union. From my point of view, the cab is lifted by an automated crane, suspended in immaculate air like a scene from science fiction where everything runs on algorithms and discipline. I instinctively slow my steps as if moving too quickly might disrupt the solemn rhythm of this moment. The glossy red cab hangs beneath the cold white LEDs, reflecting long streaks of light across its smooth, curved surface. Below it, the steel chassis waits solid and silent like a foundation prepared for something significant. It feels less like a technical procedure and more like a ritual. The cab descends slowly, precisely, not placed as one might set a box on a table, but aligned, fitting into place like two parts of a single design determined long before I ever thought of the word destiny. The gap between cab and chassis narrows centimeter by centimeter, millimeter by millimeter. Okay, sensors and alignment cameras ensure every axis is straight, every contact point perfectly matched. When the locking mechanisms engage, I hear a deep, crisp, metallic sound, not loud, but heavy enough to signal completion. To me, it sounds like a steel door closing, not to separate, but to protect. I stand still for a few seconds, simply absorbing the change. Before, there were two separate components. Now there is a single body. Then the process continues, leaving little time for sentiment. The engine is lowered into the frame by a hydraulic lift, moving so smoothly that the heavy block of metal seems almost weightless. I hear it settle into its mounting points, bolts tightened by hydraulic torque tools to exact specifications. Wiring harnesses are connected, each bundle placed like nerves running through a body. The control panel inside the cab is completed. No flashy, blinking lights, just neatly installed modules ready to await their first signal. When the water pump system and high pressure lines are installed, I think of blood vessels. Steel pipes capable of withstanding intense pressure run along the vehicle like main arteries, ready to push powerful streams of water when needed. Every joint is inspected, every rubber seal tightened. There is no room for leakage, no room for close enough. The final steps feel like fitting it with shoes and armor. Heat-resistant rubber tires are installed, and when they touch the floor for the first time, I sense that the vehicle is no longer a structure suspended on supports. It begins to stand on its own feet. Equipment compartments are mounted along both sides of the body, an aluminum ladder secured along the frame, fire hoses neatly coiled in dedicated compartments, the nozzle attached to a high-pressure connector. Each detail serves not only a function, but also shapes the unmistakable silhouette of a fire engine, the kind of silhouette that even from a distance tells you immediately help is on the way. I realize that here, aesthetics and function are inseparable. They merge in every straight line, every glossy surface, every decisive edge. Then testing begins. The vehicle is placed on a roller stand, the wheels turning steadily as the test platform runs. I hear the engine start for the first time, not a violent roar, but a deep, steady sound. Brake pressure is measured in the display system, no visible text from where I stand, only reflected light. Confirms that all parameters are within acceptable limits. The water pump system undergoes load testing, pressure gradually increases, and when the nozzle releases water, the forceful rush echoes through the pristine space like a clear declaration. It is ready. The stream of water is not just water, it is proof of the hundreds of preparation steps that came before. I stand there, feeling the power of that surge, thinking about the moments out there when this pressure will no longer be a test but a lifeline. And then comes the final scene I don't want to miss, the vehicle rolling off the line. Under the gate lights or the last glow of sunset, the red paint reflects into a brilliant streak. From my point of view, the moment isn't loud, no fanfare, no dramatic soundtrack. Just the soft roll of tires on the floor, the steady hum of the engine, the factory gate opening. I realize I've just witnessed something deeply satisfying in the most minimalist way possible. No effects, no narration, only the sound of precision and the rhythm of machinery. A feeling rises in me that's hard to name, both pride and humility. Pride in seeing how humans and technology combine to create a machine capable of driving into fire. Humility in knowing that behind that powerful exterior lie thousands of small, carefully crafted details. I suddenly think that every fire engine leaving this factory is like a promise sent into the world. A promise that when there is smoke, when there are flames, when someone calls for help, something built in this clean, disciplined order will appear. And if you're like me, captivated by the moments when steel and technology merge to create strength with purpose, follow the channel so we can continue exploring journeys like this. There are more unions ahead, more clean, cold, yet compelling production processes where every mechanical sound tells a story and every finished machine carries a clear mission.